Good evening. On behalf of Consecutivos, we welcome you for this edition of MnemoConnect, one of the 5 live video series from Mnemo channel. Mnemo channel consists of 5 different activities in the form of live video on every Thursday, always at 7:30 p.m. Brasilia time zone. In Mnemo channel, we have Mnemo Bio, Mnemo Book, MnemoCast, MnemoScience, and MnemoConnect. On MnemoConnect, we discuss conscienciologic subjects, especially those most related to Seriexology, through debates and interviews with our guests from the international cosmoethic conscienciological community. My name is João Paulo Costa, and I will host these events. Today, we are going to talk about key personality in seriexological self-research with 2 guests that I will introduce after the opening. Hold on. Our first guest is graduated in veterinary medicine, master in preventive veterinary medicine, PhD in tropical veterinary medicine, recently a retired university professor, herpetographer, introductor of conscienciology, penta practitioner, co-author of the book Auto Verbete 101 Herpetographers of the Encyclopedia of Conscienciology, a volunteer of Consecutivos, ISIC, and Reaprendencia, and currently a joint coordinator of the Invisible College of Pentology. Welcome, Lygia Decker.
Hi, João Paulo. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's very nice to be here.
Hi, Lygia. Thanks for accept our invitation. Well, our second guest is an IT analyst and researcher, has a degree in data processing, master's degree in electrical engineering and computing, and doctor's degree in surgical sciences. He's a volunteer of conscienciology since 2000, teacher since 2001, and penta practitioner since 2004. Currently, he's a volunteer and teaches at Consecutivos. Welcome, Weber Takaki. Hi, Weber.
Hi, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Hope we can share good ideas in this event.
All right, thanks for being with us today. And for a start, we are talking today about the key personality, mostly the self-research on these subjects. And we would like to hear from you, what is a definition of key personality in seriexological self-research exactly?
Okay. If I can start with the first approach here, the key personality is a focal point of study. It's a personality with a greater level of similarities and converging characteristics with the researcher that represents a holocene, a group, a period in time, and a geographical region, for instance, a city, a country, or a culture. And this key personality is a focal point that we establish to start studying and to start deepening the study of a possible retro personality of past life. But it's still a key personality that represents a group, a context, a Holocene.
Yeah, I just want to inform that we have a verbate from the encyclopedia about it. Unfortunately, it's only in Portuguese so far, but I think if people want to go deeper into this subject, we have material to be used and to read and to understand more about this. And just to make this analogy between the key and this personality, because it's a key, because it opens normally a lot of things for us. So it's a key in the sense that it's a representation of a group. It represents this personality had an important role in a group or in a Holocene in a period of time in history, but also it helps us to open up our perceptions, our understanding, and our knowledge about ourselves and our past in general. So it's a very interesting subject for us to talk and to debate here, because it's really important for those who want to develop or to advance in the seriexological research.
Indeed, it is.
Yeah, one other thing that I would like to add is that when we start studying personalities of the past, it's important that we choose one person that has some historical information about. We have to have this biographical data, biographical information, or facts and deeds of this person, and if possible, traits, characteristics, temperament, something like that. And usually these personalities are personalities that were somehow in a leadership position. They were leaders. They, you know, they had public evidence. They were in public evidence, and that's why they left records in history. So because mainly our sources of information is historical information. So that's why the key personality is a personality that represents a group, a context, and a holocene. We have to have this person that was known, that has some sort of record or some sort of registry that we can search and we can research during our self-research.
All right. And today we're talking about this personality, which is not really the personality we were in the past. And
Mm-hmm.
some time ago, we always think about, aim in the bullseye and who we were in the past, and why you think it's important study a key personality, which is not us, but someone around us in the past or someone related with us in the past. Why this is so important in self-research in terms of seriexology.
Well, I think that when we start studying past lives and we start our seriexological self-research, ideally we have to be cautious, So we have to take one step at a time, and to establish first the key personality is a first approach. It's a first introductions. It's you start understanding and gaining more information and more acquaintance of this personality and the things and the characteristics of this personality. So it's a way of approaching step by step. So before establishing the hypothesis of being a retro personality, a personality that us in the past, ideally we should start making this first approach, like slowly and gradually deepening our understanding of this personality, and and doing the comparisons and the contrast and contrasting the characteristics of this personality with us, with ourselves. And then once we have enough information, then we can establish the new hypothesis. We can move one step further and then establish that personality, or to upgrade that personality to this hypothesis of being a specific personality, a retro personality of ourselves.
Yeah, and I think this is a very complex process. As Weber mentioned, it's like several layers. So as we go deeper into our research, normally we are able to identify traits and manifestations. And of course, the way we approach life and our difficulties and what we need to recycle, what we see from other leaders from the past, normally is very important to understand ourselves. It works as a mirror, we see ourselves from the eyes of another one, from the eyes of facts, from the history. So I think it's quite interesting to have this approach, because then we can understand ourselves better. That's the most important point about this seriexological research. It's not so important to identify I was personality X, or I have been doing this or that, but what is the results I see today, and what are the points I should prioritize and I should work on to become a better person, to accelerate my evolution, for example. So this is why one of the reasons I think the key personalities are so important. And of course, we are talking about groups. So sometimes we have one key personality related to a group of people. So we are in a condition to accelerate our self-research, together as a group, and to understand things from the past and from the results from these actions from our past.
And in terms of, sorry, go on.
Just wanted to add something that by listening Lygia's comments, it's important for us to take into consideration also the multidimensional process. When we start studying a personality in the historical context, we evoke that personality. If that person is an extraphysical or intraphysical consciousness, our energies start interacting with that consciousness. With those consciousnesses actually involved in the context that we are studying. So in this step-by-step approach, we also have this time to digest these interactions and to deal with these interactions more, in a more balanced way, I think. So it's also important to remember that we have this multidimensional process going on when we start studying Seriexology as well.
All right. And you guys think that the key personality is always someone bright or great in history, or not?
I'm sorry, someone
It's
right?
great in history. Someone is very important, a leader or something, or it's someone you find in history, but it's not so important. Can be one or another case, or must be someone big.
Well, I think it depends on each one's self-research. I don't think it has to be necessarily someone that was great, some big shot or something like that, big personality. But it is important that we have information about that personality. So it cannot be someone that didn't leave any sort of record. We have to find some records about this personality so we can study. But it doesn't have to be necessarily a big personality.
All right. So it's, yeah, just to make us understand, it's someone that um, takes our attention, right? When you
Yeah.
see all these subjects or something he or she did in the past, that is ring a bell for something, and then you know uh,
Yeah. Delve into
go into
yeah.
it.
That's it. That's it. This connection that we make, that we establish with this personality, it has to have, it usually has something to do with the common interests or common traits or common group karmic relationships, similar group karmic relationships, um, a similar holocene. For instance, I nowadays I work with technology, with information technology. In the past, we didn't have computers, but we had information as well. We had communication as well. Different ways, different technologies to communicate. So this is a variable that we have to consider. So this holocene of information exchange or preserving information or somehow communicating or transmitting information from one side to another, this communication process. So this is one example of a variable that has to be considered when searching for the key personality and to defining the key personality in our example. And basically, once we find enough evidence or enough connections or similarities, then this lamp goes on, then uh, triggers one interest, and then we can start then to deepen the study and to approach this personality more seriously.
Yeah, I would say that a key personality has always something to do with the things we are doing now, in this life. Like this example about technology Weber mentioned. For example, somebody who is doing something related to arts or designer, as a designer. Normally, there are key personalities from the past who have something to do with this preference or interest. For example, in my case, I worked as a university professor doing experimentation in a laboratory. Basically, my whole life I was doing cultivation of cells, for example. So one personality I'm studying now for some years now was exactly one medical doctor doing experimentations, not in the lab as we do nowadays, but it was a common interest. So we always find these links. I'm not going to study somebody who has nothing to do with my interests now. Yeah. So I think this is a good start to consider some possibilities of key personalities. To analyze your life now and to have like a general understanding what are the holothoscenes prevailing in your life, your career, your profession, your family, or your way of life, or the place where you're born, or the people you interact if you moved from one country to another, and many aspects of your life nowadays indicate strongly links from the past and strong relationships with leaders on these fields, you know.
All right. And when we find someone who it might be a key personality, we might change to another or not, or we can interpret this as a step only or a part of the way. What do you think? Can we move from one to another person, key personality, or not?
Yeah, I think we can. Usually, we like to say that facts lead the research, right? If we find more similarity, more familiarity, and more connection with a different personality that we started to study, I think we can switch to this other personality. But one thing I would like to say that is that it is important for us to understand why we switched. For instance, sometimes our um, I would say dislike or disgust when we are studying a personality is also a sort of connection that we have with that personality. So we don't have to discard or to discharge this personality just because there was something that we got to know about that personality that sort of annoyed us a little bit or bugged us a little bit, and that made us uncomfortable with that research. We have to understand why that fact or that information messed with us, or what sort of emotions or feelings that it triggers in us. And once we understand that, uh, then I think we can have a conscious step towards a new personality, or to deepen even more the understanding of the personality that we have in that moment. So it's important for us to understand why, and all these feelings and emotions that arise when we are studying a personality.
Yeah, I just want to add something. Um, Normally, it's very hard to start from one key personality or one hypothesis of a key personality. Normally, we elect one group or people who have somehow a relationship or a connection. And then as we start one by one, normally we can then identify one who has more affinity or dislike, like
Mhm,
Weber
mhm,
mentioned, to be like the target one. So, the one I will be investing more and buying biographies, for example. And by reading biographies is also a very good exercise to develop these feelings and to understand a bit more about each personality. And of course, if you amplify your resources, if you can, for example, read biographies in different languages from different authors, this is also very important. And of course, as you start reading about a person or a personality, you can then start to analyze your feelings, your perceptions, your insights, how you feel about this subject, how you feel about this behavior. And all these are very important elements for your hypothesis.
yeah.
Yeah, as you, it's like an immersion in
Mhm,
another one's life.
mhm,
If I can make a point like this, you go inside the life of somebody through the eyes of different people. Yeah,
mhm,
some biographers will say only good things about the personality. Others will say only bad things about the personality. So you have to make your own evaluation. That's
mhm.
why it's important to read as much as possible and to have access as much as possible to different source of information.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
access of different bias of
yeah.
the same biography, right?
Mhm. Yeah, in that sense, I think that this immersion in the study can also trigger our memories and eventually allow us to have retrocognitions or retrocognitive flashes or psychic phenomena like these ones. It's very important for us to be aware of these possibilities as well during the research, the Seriexological research, because the study we can conduct our self research like with the study before previous study and then triggering retrocognitions, or the other way around, or I would say I can have, for instance, the retrocognitive experience, and that makes us, research and focus our attention in some period, personality or so. But the research itself can be this trigger that allow us to have retrocognitive experiences.
Very good. We have a question here from Diane, our friend.
Mhm.
We probably have many key personalities, but when should we choose one to study further? She wants to know, you know, what what we choose when we want to go deeper on the study of the key personality.
Yeah. Well, she's reminds us something that is important, that we didn't have only one retro personality. We don't have only one retro personality because we had many past lives. So we can establish different points in history and in the different areas or cultures as focal points of our study. But I think that the question that Diane brings us to us is basically the priorities, how we prioritize our seriexological research. For instance, let's say we had 30 past lives. Which one would we choose, right? Uh, I think that uh, one possible variable to consider is that those personalities that are more like that are closer in time with today, we probably have more similarities with them. We probably have more information about them. We probably uh, be able to access more information, and that can also bring us more information about our possible intermissive period. For instance, if you had the hypothesis of having participating in an intermissive course, so the previous life before the intermissive course can give us some hints on what were the aspects, the studies, and the focus of our recycling efforts during the intermissive course. Um, so this is one possibility, right? Another possibility is to find what is, or to search for those personalities that are, more familiar, or they're more close to our focus of self-research, independently of being a seriexological self-research. For instance, if I'm making an effort to recycle something, I'm in a process of existential recycling, and the topic of this existential recycling I'm doing has to have, has some connections with this possible period of time, of this culture that we lived in the past. So this is another possibility of establishing or to choosing a key personality. These are the two main approaches that I would search in, the first the first place.
I just want to add about self experimentation. I think it's also a very good approach And you can do this, for example, in laboratories or in field courses or in dynamics, parapsychic dynamics. So you can, in a way, establish a parapsychic method or methodology to investigate what comes to you. Yeah. In other words, a technical evocation of certain personalities, of certain contexts. And I also thought about something related to our teaching, for example. You can contribute with your knowledge about certain personalities, preparing a course, teaching about this personality, and trying to connect other people. Because at the end of the day, I think what is very important in all this research is the interassistance. So, to expose yourself, to allow the helpers to bring people and to bring consciences in need within this context. So, in a way, is to facilitate your parapsychics to develop or to guide your research to certain personalities who are the most important at this moment, in this evolutionary moment, because as Weber said, we have thousands of lives, and we may establish or identify several key personalities. But what is the important points in this life, in your proaxis? And I also was trying to make a connection with this key personality to another concept. I think Weber is an expert on this, which is the critical retro life. So what have I planned to do in this life, and who as a personality, as a key personality, could be involved and could help me to develop and to advance with some traits I need to improve, or to develop more strong traits I have developed in this life together with this or near this key personality, or in the context of this key personality. So I think it's very variable in terms of, how to decide which one or which personality would be the most relevant for this moment. It's very individual, it's very personal. Everyone should spend some time reflecting about all these concepts. And of course, the parapsychism is a very important approach, apart from all the other things we mentioned before, to get information from the science, normal science, conventional science, also to develop our parapsychism. I think it's very important.
All right, very good. And we have done good and bad things in the past, as well as maybe key personalities we are studying. What do you think we should study negative key personalities, negative the way they did wrong and did bad things in the past more than good things? So I call it negative. But should we study these kind of personality as much as the good ones or the ones we admire more?
Yes, as a general rule, I think that we should start with the positive key personalities, because we have to remember that when we start studying, we start evoking, we start to make connections with these with those consciousnesses that were related to that person's life. So, as a first approach and as a general rule, I think that it's makes more sense to start by studying the positive personalities, And if the research lead us to more negative or more like evil personalities, then I think that we should start, to start researching that personality. But always remembering that in this process, we evoke those consciousnesses that were related to that personality, and of course that we evoke like harassers, and also helpers in this process. But we have to understand that we must deal with the harassers as well, and we have to be comfortable, at least confident, that we are going to do that process in an interassistential way. So it has to be good for us, and it has to be good to ideally to the personalities and to the consciousnesses that we evoke by doing this research.
Yeah, I think we should be careful about this, because when we evoke, we of course we generate, or we have to face specific demands in terms of assistance. So I think one important question is to ask ourselves, am I prepared to face these kinds of demands, or to be involved on those scenarios? Because normally there will be, I would say, more complex. Yeah. So do I have the skills? Do I have the qualifications to be involved on this? I think these are questions we should ask ourselves. So it's a good recommendation to start with more positive personalities, and then as we get more confidence, more we develop our skills in terms of this self-research, maybe we can then place ourselves on this position to assist more complex contexts in terms of our past. But of course, we have been involved in many different situations, and some are much more difficult and pathological in terms of dealing and resolving all these situations. But this is a very important question, I think, to be asked.
And even if we study, even when we study positive personalities, positive situations, we eventually come across negative situations, problems. In a person's regular, normal life, we face difficulties. All of us have to deal with this. And once we start increasing the relationships that we have, the connections we have, situations starts to become even more complex, as Lygia mentioned, right, Lygia? And it's natural that even when we start, the positive personalities, we have to evoke, we have to, get in touch with negative situations, or situations that were, not ideal. For instance, wars. History is basically, it's very common to, have wars in different places in different times, but it's usually something that is constant in our studies. And I would also like to say that the seriexological self-research benefits more the person that has already a personal self-research in development. So when we know ourselves more, we have already understood basic things about our consciousness, our interests, our temperament, then the seriexological self-research can increase our understanding, can broaden our view about our evolutionary process. So it's important for us to have this self-research already done, at least in some level. I think that it also it's one important thing that will give us more confidence in approaching critical situations in our studies. And last, that I also remember now, because Lygia is one of the coordinators of this research group, is the Penta practitioners, right? If the person is a Penta practitioner, Penta is the personal energetic task. This person has usually more tools, energetic tools, to deal with, interassistential contexts. So it's also a valuable, very important tool, very important, practice that actually helps in our Seriexological self-research.
All right. Yeah. We probably warm up already the subject I will bring up now, but careful as we should be when we study the past, we study previous lives and stuff. Is there any counter indication to study a specific or study key personalities at all?
Well, I think that we have to be like confident in our research. If we are somehow anxious about discovering something, or if we are afraid of facing something, or if we have, for instance, bad intentions, I want to discover something that I can use against someone else, then I think that this is not indicated. The Seriexological self-research is not indicated. Seriexological self-research ideally has to promote in ourselves a better understanding of the evolutionary process. It has to help us in our recycling process, and ideally have to help us to become better persons, better, consciousness in the end. And in this process, we, of course, dealing with these interactions with intraconsciential and intraphysical and extraphysical consciousness. We conduct ourselves in an interassistential way. So we have, if we have this not good intentions, I think that Seriexological research is not recommended, because we are basically, by doing that, we are basically sort of connecting with the harassers, with consciousness. They are not interested in evolution, so we will probably won't be able to connect with the helpers, and things usually don't go well when we are evoke only the harassers in this process. So this is, recommendation. If, first of all, think of our intentions in this process. If we don't feel confidence enough, I think this is also not recommended. I think we have to be, confident, and we feel well by doing this research, without any fear, without any, bad feelings about this process.
Might be maybe when we recommend to someone to study a key personality, might be uncomfortable sometimes anyway, right?
Yeah. This discomfort is natural in this process, right? When we do self-research, it's many times this uncomfortable. We put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, but it doesn't mean it's negative, or it doesn't mean it's we are suffering by doing that. We are actually gaining more information about ourselves and becoming more mature somehow. It actually strengthens us instead of weakening us, by doing this process of self-research. But it's something important that you bring, because it may be uncomfortable in some situations.
Yeah, I think one should evaluate the level of discomfort. If you can cope with it, if you have self-conflict, if you feel you cannot manage intrusion, for example, then it's better to wait until things, calm down a bit and you get more strength, more maturity to deal with the things. I think that the self-research is not something you do, quickly, overnight, or in some weeks or months. Normally, it's a process lasting for some years. And as I mentioned before, you go layer by layer and you develop your condition to cope with the things from the past. It's not so easy to face certain situations. So I think self-intrusion is very important. So if you feel that you manage and you can deal with self-intrusion, the level of self-intrusion necessary to go ahead with the process, then you should go, but carefully, step by step, slowly does it. It's not something you should be anxious and you want to reach the goal and your target and find out everything. And we have to remind ourselves all the time that that's the reason we don't remember things from our past so easily. So things should come as you get maturity to face the things, even retrocognitions. As mentioned before, as we manage in a good way with a good intention, and you place yourself, you open yourself for inter-assistance and allow to be assisted, then the process normally flows in a better way. But you have to be patient.
Okay. And I will make one question, and after Weber bring us a message from an event from consecutively, right, Weber?
Okay. I have.
Yeah. One question before that. You prepare yourself.
Okay.
What if key personality we study now, key personality in the past, we are maybe thinking that someone who is alive now, maybe around us or far away from us. Anyway, should we? How careful we would be with that? Should we go for it and meet him or her, or what we should do in this case? You got me?
I'm not sure if I quite understood you.
I think you mean consecutive personality.
Yeah, kind of. If the key personality in the past is alive now, you think he's alive now in this life. Should we meet him? Got you guys.
Yeah. Good question. I think if that person is open to the idea of having a retro life, I think and we have the opportunity, I think that it will be a great opportunity to understand, to better understand what does the intermissive period and the evolutionary period, evolutionary process allow us to develop or to face or to experience in this process, and how different lives and a new soma actually what it makes to the consciousness that are expressing him or herself in this new soma, in this new body. I think that that would be very interesting, very nice thing to do. If that, of course, that person is open and aware of being the consecutive personality of someone in the past.
It's a delicate situation, right?
Yeah, it's a delicate situation. Yeah, but also interesting one.
Yeah, but I agree. It depends on the openness of both. Yeah, not only the the one who is researching, but the other one regarding understanding and being open to these concepts about Seriexology. But this would be great. Imagine, I'm just hypothesizing now. If someone from the past who I consider a key personality for me, I may consider it. This person could be among us, for example, even in conscientiology, studying Seriexology. This would be great. I think it would be a very productive opportunity for both consciousness to advance in their research. But of course, this is an ideal situation. We cannot, say that this is easy to happen. Yeah.
We should analyze the case very carefully before we open our heart. Very,
Yes.
yes. It's a delicate, it's complex thing. Sometimes it's not productive. Sometimes we have to shut up. But I think
but even if we don't expose and if we don't express ourselves openly to that personality, to this person, by like trying to analyze the connections in the group that this person has, the groups that this person is related in this life, can also bring interesting information about our personal situation in the past. Because, for instance, if we get we have some sort of connection with that person, because usually when a consecutive personality is revealed or identified, the connections of this consecutive personality can also be identified. It's very natural that the connections, or at least some connections of that personality, some relationships that this personality has in this present life, is a repetition, I would say, of the personality of the past, right? For instance, consciousness A has connections, are related to consciousness B in the past life. In this present life, there is a great possibility that the same two consciousnesses are connected as well. So by analyzing, or by trying to observe the connections and the relationships that this person, can also bring some interesting information about ourselves or about the groups that the person are related to.
This debate reminded me one pensata from the lexicon of Orto Pensatas. This pensata is actually in the verbete about key personality. And this verbete was written by Roberto Laime. And he brings one pensata from Valdo Vieira, calling a person an anti-bottleneck personality. And he says that this personality is the one who acts in a critical moment of defining the destiny of others. So such personality triggers the overcoming of other people's bottlenecks. So this is very interesting, because it's exactly what Weber commented now. And sometimes this person doesn't even realize the role, the important role he or she is playing. So, when you talked about this interaction between two consciousness, I reminded myself about this pensata, because this is a very good interexistential relationship. One is helping the other to overcome critical things, in this moment. So it's quite interesting, this connection we made.
Yeah, very interesting. And also the connections with the retrocognitive experiences as well. I remember that Professor Valdo Vieira mentioned some time ago that when a person remembers something, a situation, it's a sort of an extra physical, multidimensional process of retrocognitive events that actually triggers retrocognitions in other consciousnesses related to that one consciousness that first had this retrocognition. So the connections are stronger than we think.
Yeah.
And very, very interesting. Very nice to remember that.
Very good. Yeah. And Weber, can we have a short break and you tell us about the course of consecutive?
Yeah. I would like to make an invitation for a field course that Consecutives is holding in the 13th through 15th of October this year. It's going to be an immersive course in the Seriexological campus in Saquarema, Rio de Janeiro. This field course is called Lucidez Retrocognitive or Retrocognitive Lucidity, and actually has this. The motivation of this course is actually to approximate the dimensions and interactions between intraphysical and extraphysical dimensions, and to by doing that allow us to have more retrocognitive experiences and actually to become more aware and more lucid about our retrocognitions and retrocognitive experiences. So it's a 3-day course with 2 energetic fields. When this approximation between dimensions happens. Very interesting, very nice course. It's a smaller group, so it's thought to be a smaller group just to allow more interaction between the participants and the extraphysical team, the extraphysical helpers that interact in this course. So it's very, very nice. And those who can have this opportunity, there are no prerequisites for this course, but it's something that if someone is interested, just make contact with us, and that's it. That's the idea, to make this invitation for this course. This course is happening only once a year, so this is the first and last opportunity of this year, okay, to participate in this course.
When is it going to be again?
13 to 15 of October. So we have like 1 month and 2 weeks before the course yet.
Thank you. So, coming back to our questions, in terms of multidimensionality, what are the possible multidimensional outcomes of studying a key personality?
Yeah, one of the possible consequences or outcomes of this study, something that I think we mentioned already, is the approximation, or to the when we evoke the consciousnesses and the contexts that are related to the facts and situations we are studying during our research. So basically, we are interacting energetically and multidimensionally with all these situations, with the memories of these consciousnesses. And it's a good opportunity for us to, for instance, if our consciousnesses that are related to our past, it's an opportunity to make an update, to update those consciousnesses about what are our interests and our efforts in this moment. because we may commit mistakes in the past. We may have committed mistakes in the past, and if we did harm some people in the past, very likely those consciousnesses that were somehow harmed by our acts, they get this, they keep this memory uh, of our personality in the past. And if we are trying to be a better person now, it's a good opportunity for those consciousnesses to update the connection and the view that they have about ourselves. And by doing that, it's not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of that consciousness, of those consciousnesses, because they, can make peace with the situation of the past. So it's an interexistential process. So I think that this is the good and the nice outcomes that we can have by researching a key personality.
I think it's worth also to mention that these key personalities, as a leader, they affect a big group of consciousness. It's not only this relationship we have between ourselves and the key personality, but all the other consciousness being affected by this interaction. And I always think about our condition as intermissivists, for example. If we had the chance to attend, the conditions to attend an intermissive course, I think now we can promote, or we can facilitate some people we have links, to also accelerate their evolutions. The possibility to attend an intermissive course, for example. This comes to my mind very often. Everything I do, I write, I think, I produce in terms of conscientiological articles, or everything we write, we produce, may have an impact on consciousness who now might be able to attend an intermissive course, or to in a way make a change in their evolution. So I think it's very difficult for us to say, well, the effects are such and such, but this is something to last for a long time and to affect a huge number of people. Because, as mentioned before, we have many connections with different groups, and we are all interconnected. Yeah, so evolution works like this. So the results of our research, I think it's really difficult to say precisely how far they can go and how they can affect other people who are preparing to resomate, for example, or who have just desomated. So it's a very dynamic process and a very complex process involving a network of consciousness. So the responsibility is huge on everything we do. And our choices to start this personality or this one, so we are directing in a way the assistance we can give priority at this moment.
Yeah, one interesting thing that you mentioned, Lygia, is the importance and the relevance of the ideas, because good ideas, they have a great existential potential, and it's hard for us to actually to precisely measure the consequences of those ideas, but they are ideas there, they at the same time it's challenging because sometimes it's not easy to defend an idea that, you know, it's a new idea, for instance, or something that is not a common sense. But at the same time, it lasts a long time. If it's an existential and a good idea, it has a great potential and it has this, you know, existential effect throughout time. So it's very, very nice and very relevant topic that you bring.
And do you think studying a key personality can be more important than study a specific personality, or at least as important as one another, or not?
I think it's as important as studying a specific personality. It depends on the stage, on the, you know, of your seriexological self-research you are. You know, it will be, you will, you know, define a key personality or a specific personality. It depends on how mature is your seriexological self-research. But I think they're both important. Ideally, what we are looking for, we are looking to, you're searching or trying to achieve is to study the specific personality, right? But before reaching that point, we probably have to follow through one or more key personalities before defining or identifying one specific personality.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to reach or to be sure or to be, you know, confident about a specific personality before you actually study a lot,
Mhm.
one or more key personalities. This is the way, yeah,
Mhm.
because then you build up your understanding and you can establish some hypotheses and you can discard some and you can go and try to, you know, get closer to a confidence about a specific personality. So I think one is related to another. I don't
Mhm.
see how to make things separately.
Mhm.
One leads to another.
Oh, and for the beginners, uh, how we should start this research? Should we start from the way we are and connect with someone else from the past, or the things we like, the things we are related to? What do you think? What do you think we should start with to begin this research? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Lygia, if you would like to say.
Uh, I think a good start is to write about your life now, you know, to write your biography. This helps a lot. But we have here at Consecutivos, we have some approach, some techniques, some tools, which I consider they are really very, very important and very good. For example, during the School of Consecutive Personality, which is a long-term course lasting 1.5 years, the students receive like a spreadsheet and they can then approach different traits. Actually, they are classified into 13 categories. So there are some questions you can answer and you can understand, for example, about your temperament, about your ethology, your behavior, and you can then compare this with some key personalities you are studying. So this is one approach to make a comparison about some basic traits of a key personality with your manifestations, with your traits. You know, So I think there are some technical ways to do this self-research. And because these tools are available, and we are now with a lot of people testing these tools and, producing information by using these technologies, I think those who want to understand more, I think they can use these methodologies developed by Consecutivos. This is a great help.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think that first step is to understand ourselves better, right? To do our self-research. Um, and once we have all this information that Lygia mentioned, then we can start broadening our view and trying to find a Holothocene, a culture, country, a period in time, in history that we think that we are more connected to, after, of course, making an analysis of our self-research data. And by doing that, we start studying, elect one personality, and if that personality doesn't have many connections or many similarities with ourselves, then we, try to find in that context, in the same context, another personality that was somehow related to that first personality, and that's how we, the identification of the key personality happens. It's a very dynamic process um, in the first approach. But basically, we start by doing our self-research and organizing this self-research data, as Lygia mentioned, in spreadsheets, in objective, and in a way that we can see all the self-research data in a more structured way, more organized and synthesized way.
In a technical way,
Yeah, in a technical way, right?
Sometimes we fell in love with some personalities. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
find out one, oh, this is great, and we only see the nice
Yeah.
part of this research, but we have to
Yeah.
be very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is why it's important to have a technical approach
Mm-hmm.
to analyze things from a very rational way. So you
Yeah.
can accept or discard things according to what you see. So facts and parafacts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, associating your life and your perceptions and your experimentation under this multidimensional approach from the conscientiological paradigm.
Well,
So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Because
One
yeah,
one good thing, just a final comment here. One good thing of doing that research in group, like for instance in the School of Consecutive Personality, is that we have the opportunity to expose uh, our research to other people, to our partners and our colleagues, and they can criticize, and to contrast, the things that we are showing with the things that we think we are understanding from this personality. So it's a very nice thing. When we have this balance, we have this external view about our self-research. If we are, in love with a personality, and we're trying only to find, to consider those facts and traits that actually confirm the hypothesis of being, our personality in the past, bringing this research to the public, or at least, one or two other persons or people can help us, have this more realistic approach, and actually balance this evaluation that and it actually help us not to fall in love. Or actually, we can fall in love, but not being blind about reality. That's
There are
something.
One
several,
thing is related to the other, right?
Yeah,
and there are several stages along this
True,
research.
true.
Yeah?
yeah,
You
Yeah.
have
yeah.
to know
Actually,
each of them.
yeah. Professor Roberto Laime, he mentions this, back and forth, relationship with the personality that we are studying. We fall in love in the first place, or eventually fall in love, and then we start seeing bad things, and we start to, oh, I don't want to see that person anymore, and then we start to approach again, to get near again. So it's very interesting.
Go back and forth, back
Yeah,
and forth.
yeah, going back
It's
and
a
forth
very
in this.
complex relationship.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't you think, even with if we don't have a specific personality found, um, maybe when we study the ideas and the zeitgeist and the ideologies and the philosophies and worldviews that is the key personality we are studying now, maybe can help us to uh, avoid make the same mistakes or the old mistakes, and also uh, can emphasize our strong traits.
I think so. I think that one good thing about studying a person's life, person's biography, is that we can actually understand and see very quickly the consequences of some actions or some decisions that person took. That very likely, when that person was in that context, he or she didn't have the view, or at least didn't have all the you know didn't foresee all the possible outcomes of that decision. So when we do this approach and this study after all these outcomes that have had already happened, it's very interesting, very good, because we may be in situations that we have to take decisions and to make decisions, um, or to take some actions that we don't foresee all the possible outcomes. And by understanding or seeing those same situations in the personality of the past, we can actually have more clarity of what possible outcomes we will have by taking one or the other action. So this is something that is very good, in my opinion. Um, it's one of the great benefits of studying history in general. But when we study biographies, this is something that very nice. And when the outcomes are positive and the consequences are positives, they actually strengthen our, or strengthen the positive traits, or actually give more confidence to uh, to the researcher or to the person, if we have the same traits and strong traits of that person, of that personality.
And sometimes we make the same mistakes, but with with less intensity. You know what I mean? So we repeat the same things. We still have the same thoughts or something like, but no,
Mhm.
not so strong as it was in the past. Is
Mhm.
that is can be true?
Yeah, I think it's an evolution already. It's, even if it's not a complete evolution, it's not a complete overcoming one weak trait, but it's already a step forward in this direction, in the direction of overcoming a certain weak trait, and to converting that weak trait in a strong trait. Um, yeah, I think it's possible, and that's true.
Yeah, I think it's always important to remind ourselves that we are now with our best version. So we should be doing things a bit better than in the past. Yeah, even if it's only a small advancement, and it's something better. So evolution is slow. We have to be patient and to understand the rhythm we can go. Sometimes we can accelerate a bit more, but other times we have to break down and wait some things to happen and some recycling process to take place. And this is the most important aspect, I think, of all self-research, is the recycling of anachronic traits, of things which are not useful and functional in our condition now. Yeah, but this is a slow process. It requires a lot of things, a lot of decisions and sustainability. And sometimes we are not able to sustain certain recycling process at once. So it's one step after another. But as you mentioned, this is very common, and I think it's a positive way. It helps us when we start another one, and we realize in a more rational way how things happened.
Yeah, and also if we are doing our best, I think it counts more than having, thinking that we have already overcome completely one specific weak trait. Some traits, some weak traits, we won't be able to overcome completely and definitely in one single life. So we will be the whole life continuously making efforts to control or to diminish that weak trait and to allow a better and a strong trait to be expressed. So if we are trying to achieve perfection, that will be impossible, because perfection in this this planet is not possible. But we can pursue perfection between commas. We can strive. We can make our best to manifest better traits, and I think it's more important than trying to reach perfection, which is impossible.
Very wise words, guys. Wise words. And I thank you for this evening, for the whole thing. Thank you very much. I would like you to say a few words before we finish off. Please, Lydia.
Well, I just want to thank you, João Paulo, for this opportunity, and Weber, my colleague in some activities for the international activities from Consecutivos. And I just want to say a very positive word for those who are starting their self-research. I think it's a long process, but in group, we can manage much better than alone. And we are never alone. We are in a group, and not only conscience, not only at the interphysical dimension, but we have a lot of people helping us and trying to get benefits from what we are doing in this life. So welcome aboard on this challenge of self-research and to identify and to research about a key personality. But I think all the efforts are worth to invest. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and good luck to all doing this self-research.
All right, thanks so much. Weber?
Well, I would also like to thank João Paulo for the invitation, for hosting us this evening. To thank Lygia for the rich exchange of ideas. It was a real pleasure to be here with you guys tonight. I would also like to say that we have other contents in English in our channel for those who are interested in, getting to know some other topics, or, having this introduction to seriexological self-research. Yeah, if we can somehow help to clarify or to yeah, help in some way in your research, feel free to contact us. In our website, you probably can find the contact information and through the channel as well. Okay, so, well, thank you very much, and hope to see you guys soon in another MnemoConnect.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for you guys who staying with us. We remember you to click the like button, please. And we finish with a short clip of our head office, which is already been building slowly, but it's been building for the moment. And we thank you once more, and we see you next time in MnemoConnect. See you. Bye bye.